Hello world, hello explorers. Today I'm going to talk about one word, diligence. And diligence is a really nice word that encompasses a lot of things and really brings to light what you need to do to be good at something you do. And in my case, I'm talking about work. What do I need to get good at my work? So diligence can be translated to carefully and persistent work or effort. So there's a lot of things that you can encompass in this word of diligentness. So let's take a few of my examples from the real world and just look at where people have this diligently doing something and when they are not diligently doing something. First off, I have this wonderful place that does Asian food that I would go to many times to buy food, and they actually make food that tastes the same every time and tastes great with a lot of different ingredients, and they make it on site on a very short time, so they are very efficient in what they do. And when they actually have done the job of making the food, they will pack the food into bags very carefully so that all the things that I want to take home is ordered in a way that it won't fall over and make a mess inside of the bag. And they do this every time to perfection, which is something that I really admire in people, when you do something to perfection. And another example that I have where somebody didn't do this as well, which could have ended really bad. I worked at Statoil, in a gas station in Sweden, many years back, and I actually had somebody drive in there and asking me if I could take a short look at the car because it sounded a bit weird. So I went out and looked around and checked everything, and I found that the screws on the tires weren't actually screwed in all the way. So the tires were actually going back and forth when they drove, which could have ended in that the screws actually went all the way out and they lost a tire on the freeway, and that could have ended really badly. So in that case, somebody had changed the tires, and they had actually had the car in for maintenance that week. So somebody had changed the tires and actually didn't care enough to put the screws back in a good way so they actually stuck. So when we are coding software programs, we really want to have this in mind, that we want to be really careful and make software better by time. And I have been very fortunate to work on projects where we had some time to actually take care of the project or take care of the product. So we have actually implemented small incremental changes that are really thought through and tested to perfection, and when we bring them to market, they usually work. We seldomly have a really bad bug, but that happens too, and that's fine. Bugs is something that you learn from, and that mistakes is something that you shouldn't be scared of. But to make something really astutely and really take every detail into account when you build something is a good way of practicing. So we have some things that we could use. We could use tests. So there's a good mantra that you should create a test that tests the zero case. So if you get a bunch of data, you should check that you can handle that you not get any data at all. You should test that you can handle that if you get one object or one piece of data, that works fine. and you should test that you can handle a few, and you should test that you can handle a lot of data. So those are the different things that you need to check in case of differing amount of data. In other cases, you can have edge cases where you test that both if this value is truthful, it should work, and if it's false, it should work. And another thing that is good to keep in mind is that you could keep every input from the customer. If the customer has found a bug or something that they don't really think that your software is doing right, well, write a test for it. Keep it in mind for the next run of your production, so you can actually make improvement from customer requirements. So a good contact between the developer and the customer could be a really good boost when you build programs. And lastly, if you have something that takes some input and creates an output, and you are not sure really what that output should be, so you think that you have something in mind that could be a better result, but you see it when you see it, or you know it when you see it. In that case, there is nothing that you can do then more than diligently go through all the results that you get from your program and check them. In my case, we create a lot of images as an output, and a lot of text. So I will go through and read the text and look at every character if we have done an improvement, or look at a lot of images and see that if we have done an improvement. And that's a really hard work. But then again, I know that all that hard effort I put into actually checking, did my program produce something that I think is reasonable? It might not be perfect, but it's at least better than it was. Then you can actually build up an understanding about the problem and do incremental changes to make your product better, which is very powerful in my mind. Another big thing to keep in mind when you're testing things is what the guys at NASA is really good at, and that is actually trying to figure out what could go wrong, or where in our code do we have spots where something could actually happen. So where do we have our edge cases where something goes terribly wrong and nothing works, something crashes, and so on. And these could be everything from we ran out of memory, we have a loop that will never end in some case, or we get this value and will return something completely wrong. And to keep that mindset, to go into a program and think, what is the weakness of this program, and try to find weaknesses and actually handle those before the customer will see those, is also a good way to be diligent. I also know that some people work in projects or at companies where they actually have less time to do these kind of work, and you just need to get things done in as quickly as possible, because the budget is too short, or the time frame is too short, or you just don't have the resources to do these kind of things. But then you have another aspect of this diligently work, is actually keep yourself as well trained as possible. Keep yourself up to date. Try to be the person that actually works hard in order to improve yourself and to be a good addition to the team that could work efficient and produce something that is at least reasonable in the short time frame that you got. So sometimes you can't make perfect work, but you can at least make good work. And as you become a better programmer, or you become better at your craft, your work will improve as well, even if you have too little time to actually make it really good. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope that you thought this video to be informative and interesting. And if you have any suggestions or any tales where things went terribly wrong because somebody didn't check something, or where something went really good because you did solid work to end up where you wanted, then please share it in the comments. I read all comments and answer most of them. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. La 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 la.